Today on the Game Marks podcast, it's Fantasy Warfare as we play WWE All-Stars. We dive headfirst into WWE All-Stars from 2011 and finally set the record straight. Will we play it forever? Woo! Or future endeavor?
You're fired!
How does Fantasy Warfare match up to Path of Champions? How would John Cena match up against the immortal Hulk Hogan? Plus, we interview former WWE Tag Team Champions Brian Myers and Matt Cardona, formerly known as Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, about the coinciding figures to All-Stars title. All this plus our weekly tournament, Clash at the Feast. Plug in and put on those nostalgia goggles because of this week's Game Marks podcast starts now.
And now, the Game Marks!
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast. My name is George Feast.
And I'm Johnny Clash, and this week we are playing WWE All-Stars.
As always, we love to hear from you guys, so please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and make sure to subscribe and rate this podcast wherever you choose to listen and join the conversation on all forms of social media at Game Marks Pod. Johnny boy,
Hey,
how we doing this week?
How we doing? We are fresh off of our Money in the Bank pre-show.
The preest of pre-shows. How are you feeling about it?
I think we went, 3-3? We kind of split it down the middle.
Yep.
We have new champions on SmackDown and Raw.
Yes, we do.
We have two new Mr. Money in the Banks. It was a good time.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Barring one or two slight technical difficulties, all in all, I think it was a pretty good time. Shout out to everyone that came and hung out with us. And be on the lookout for the next live stream we got going on. We may be doing them more than just monthly, right, John?
Yeah, we'll keep everyone updated with that. But we also saw that even though I can't kick out of a damn pin, I think I'm officially Mr. 2K20 Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I grabbing that briefcase is not my strong suit. Apparently, I learned that. I learned that yesterday.
Well, I guess taking 3 tries in the 2K20 story mode for me to actually get it down, I think I finally did it. But
and you've played more of that story mode than I have, so.
Yeah, but enough of 2K20. No one wants to be bored with that game. How do you feel about WCW, the main event from last week?
I'm sticking with my rating. There was something slightly charming about it, and I think for terms of it being a handheld, not mobile game, it's actually pretty good. What about you? Sticking with it?
I'm sticking with Future Endeavor just for the fact that when we sat down to record today, I was like, wait, what did we play last week? Yeah, so
okay.
It had its moments.
That makes sense.
Like, I don't know, they still did Ron Simmons dirty, but still, I'm sticking with my Future Endeavor.
They did do Ron Simmons very dirty. That was not if I'm future endeavoring one part of the game, it's that.
Yeah, but anyway, later today on this podcast, we have a very special interview with some good friends of ours. We have former WWE SmackDown Tag Team Champions, former WWE Raw Tag Team Champions, former WWE Superstars, Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, along with Silver Balls himself from the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast. They will be joining us to discuss some of the, coinciding figures from WWE All-Stars.
I'm very excited. Mark's been a good friend of mine for a very long time, so it's cool that we got to do a podcast together, like an actual episode. I've done his podcast, now he's done ours. Good times.
I've wrestled him numerous times. We had a nice year and a half long feud. So.
And I was there for that too, because I sat in the crowd and watched you two pummel each other.
Exactly, but that's coming up later. We're very excited. But George, we had an episode a couple weeks ago on Backyard Wrestling where Matt Cross, M-Dog, was in it, and I believe you or Nick asked, was he in any other games after this? Because he was kind of on the indie scene. He did Tough Enough. He was in Lucha Underground.
Lucha Underground, yeah.
But I just came across a list of who did the motion capture for 2K20, and his name popped up. So technically, he was a part of 2K20.
That name, I think when we had our interview with Chris Statlander, she had mentioned some people that were also there, and I don't think that he was one of them. But that's super cool to know that he was there.
I would love to.
Maybe they were on different days or something.
Yeah, maybe. I would love to get in contact with him and bring him on sometime. But do you want to hear about some gaming news this week?
Oh, baby, let's do it. Are you looking to get a better grip on life? How about your video games? Well, VGF Gamers are the largest silicone gaming brand in the USA. They have a variety of different and unique skins for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One controllers and consoles. Check out their products at vgfgamers.com and use code GameMarks to receive 15% off your order at checkout. That's GAMEMARKS at checkout. VGF Gamers. Better grip, better style.
Resident Evil 8 is rumored to be in development and rumored to be released sometimes next year on all of the next-gen and current consoles. At the moment, Capcom has neither confirmed nor denied these rumors, most of which come from reputable sources and industry insiders. And one of the biggest of these sources just revealed a new tidbit about the game. According to reliable industry insider Dusk Golem, the upcoming new entry in the long-running and popular survival horror series will be by far the darkest and most gruesome Resident Evil yet. Unfortunately, this is where the details dry up, but the insider does suggest the game will be revealed soon, which makes sense if it's going to launch next year. Here we go. Cyberpunk 2077 just revealed its biggest feature yet. Customizable genitals. In the upcoming PS4, Xbox One, PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, and Google Stadia RPG, you can customize your own junk. Word of the feature comes way of the game's official ESRB rating, which unsurprisingly dished out the M for mature rating to the game. According to the North American Rating Board, in the game, players can customize their breasts, buttocks, and genitalia, which includes sizes and combinations. And of course, there will be plenty of sexual activity that goes along with this. Now that's all the gaming news I can handle this week. Check back next week.
I want to talk about nothing but Cyberpunk. Why?
So the part
Why?
so you could like mix and match your junk?
No.
Like different combinations?
No, I throw my hands up. Why?
So I would like a half
Of
green,
all the featers to
half
put
orange.
into games.
I would make it orange and blue for the Islanders. Maybe pinstriped. Okay. Anyway, there was a rumor of a WWE EA Sports game this week. Did you see that on Twitter?
I did.
So,
The gaming world was buzzing about this rumor, and you know, what's the term? Whatever, the speculation was running wild, and everyone's trying to throw their hat in to try to figure out what this is. And you seem to have an update on this, so I would like you to share the information with me and the world.
Okay, so there was a job listing posted by EA Sports. And the key responsibility said, edit, check, test tune the team and player data in WWE and in game on a constant basis. The word term WWE was used multiple times. And it actually was our buddy Justin Leeper who posted, here is misinformation in wrestling game media. Stories about EA and WWE working on a new game. Evidence, job posting. Me, I do 5 minutes of research and see it's BS. It's posted for a position in Mexico for a soccer game where WWE must be an acronym for something else. Here's the screenshot. And he posted the job posting, which it doesn't look anything like a wrestling game. WWE stands for something in the website editor, I believe. But after Googling, there's actually a website called FIFA-WWE.ea.com. And WWE in that sense means World Football Web Editor. So I think
it's
people,
a FIFA title.
Yeah, I would assume, but I think people just quickly jump to conclusions. Oh my God, there's no 2K20 and WWE. The acronym is featured in this job title for EA Sports. So let's make screenshots of AJ Styles with the EA Sports logo, and everyone can go nuts because that's what people do.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
But we're not getting a WWE EA title anytime soon, so we're still going to wait for 2K22 to come out as our next main title. But
I told you, I'm here for Battlegrounds, man. That's going to be my new main title. I may be the only one, but that's going to be it.
No, I'm excited, especially after playing All-Stars this week. I'm excited for Battlegrounds also. But speaking of our pal Justin Leeper, everyone go right now, take out your phone, take out your computer, follow him on YouTube, get his channel up. He is posting some great stuff in the past, and he told me that he has some content worked out for the future as well, and I don't think you're going to want to miss it, so get on that now.
Great friend of the show, Justin Leeper, always super active on Twitter. Like John said, be sure to go and follow him.
Now, I think it's time that you ask me that little question.
All right, so it is now time for the question of the week.
Finally, the Game Marks podcast has our own Pro Wrestling Tees store. Brace yourself, because the Game Marks podcast is now on ProWrestlingTees.com, featuring multiple designs created by us. Head on over to ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod today to play it forever.
So the question of the week is a weekly segment where we go back and forth, we ask each other questions, and then obviously we like to propose the question to you, the listener, and you can respond to us on any form of social media at GameMarksPod. Last week's question, and boy, what a question this was, John, was if you were going to remake the WrestleMania arcade roster with current superstars, who would you pick? And I don't think we have ever had a question blow up quite like this one on social media. What a response. The screenshots that you put together of the game were unbelievable. And I really think that enforced the whole desire and want and need for this. That RKO, the RKO with the Vipers coming out, amazing.
I think there were some people that, like, quote, retweeted it. Like, oh my God, I need this game, or when is this coming out? Like, I think some people actually did believe it, and I'm sorry to say that it's not a real game, but if we could ever develop something close to it, we would definitely be on that.
I mean, we could work on developing a game like that and then just not use the likeness of anyone.
It's just us.
It could be Brandy Morton would be the guy.
Brandy Morton. Yeah. Sure. But yeah, I mean, it's a game everyone always loved, and I think people would like a little refresh in it. So if anyone at WWE Games is listening, give it to us.
All right. So this week it is my question, and in honor of our guests and the games that we're playing, or the game that we're playing, I look around my office right now where I'm sitting, and I noticed that I have a lot of pops on the wall, and it got me thinking, what wrestlers, as Johnny Clash holds up his baby Yoda,
freshly delivered
pop bobblehead, what wrestler do you think deserves a pop figure but doesn't have one? It could be current, it could be a legend. I mean, the only stipulation is that it has to be someone that currently doesn't have a pop, and it has to be a wrestler.
That's hard because they've made just about everyone. I mean, I have
not everyone.
Yeah, well, I have like everyone I really like. Like, I have Sting, I have Finn, I have Seth, I have Jeff Hardy. I got them all. I'm still searching.
Wait, you have Jeff but not Matt?
No, I have Matt, but I'm saying my favorites.
Oh. I was just like, they came in a 2-pack. How do you have one and not the other?
I have the Walgreens. I think it was Walgreens, Kane and Shawn Michaels, which were awesome.
Yep.
I got the New Day set when Toys R Us went out of business. That's all they had, so I grabbed it for like $6. I don't know. I'm still looking for that Wolfpack Sting because it's rare.
I mean, you could find it. The problem is that it's like $125 or something like that.
I mean, there's no Kurt Hawkins, and they're not going to put a WWE one out now. But I feel like after they
that's what I want.
after they made the New Japan figures, I feel like we're gonna start getting more like indies, more maybe AEW pop toys. I would like my friend
we already have a
MJF.
couple of them.
I would like MJF. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Put on the friends and family
I'll
shelf.
take a Chris Statlander pop.
Yep, I'm a big. I've become a big Darby Allin fan. I would like one of him. I think he would translate very well to a pop.
I think Cody with the neck tattoo.
Yeah, an updated Cody. Sure.
Because the Cody that they have now is brown hair Cody, right? They didn't make a blonde hair Cody. That's just the Micro Brawler has the blonde variant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true. And then because that's all from
brown
the New
hair.
Japan run. Yeah. So
what about an updated Chris Jericho?
Oh yeah, updated. Oh, like a Le Champion.
Yeah, the last one they put out was The List Jericho.
I got it. You do Le Champion Jericho, and the Chase variant is a little bit of the bubbly.
There you go. What about a video game based on pop toys, kind of like Backyard Wrestling? Like a wrestling game with pop toys.
So Funko makes these little mini animations. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but like they have like these little, I don't know, 5-10 minute movies that they made with a lot of the Star Wars and the DC and Marvel pops. And they're like mini movies. And every time I see them, I go, this would translate so well into a game that I if they're not working on it, they got to get on it, because it just they're so popular. It's just like another, transition to them to be getting into the video game world. I'd be surprised if they weren't working on something already.
Even if it's for like the Switch or like a handheld or mobile, that would be cool. I would play it.
Yeah. So what's your answer? You're going with AEW?
Yeah, I think we're gonna see it, but I would go with an AEW line.
Okay, that's cool. My thought was I would love like Edge and Christian. I would love the Dudley Boys. That way you can have, the Hardy Boys, the Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian. I think like a Jim Ross or a Jerry Lawler pop would be great. Howard Finkel would be a great one, because we have Mean Gene. You could just get everyone in there.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to Google these as you go, and I'm actually surprised that none of those exist already.
I own most of the wrestling pops, aside from the crazy expensive ones like Rey Mysterio and CM Punk, and Daniel Bryan, which is like, that is the weirdest pop, because that pop is 99% beard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we need more Attitude Era guys.
Okay. It seems like they're putting like one or two out with each set, so it might be a while.
Yeah. I don't think we need any more Hogans. I don't think we need any more... who else has multiple versions? I don't think we need any more Shawns. I think maybe if you're going to put out another Shawn, you do a 2-pack with Hunter, and you have like a DX tag team pack.
Yeah, there was a Triple H that I think WWE posted lately that never came out, and it was sick. He had the long hair and the beard, handlebar beard. But that'd be cool to put with
Triple
Shawn.
H is like one of my least favorite ones, just because you can only either get the one with the mask, the hammer, or the other variant that's like $50.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been, not to sidetrack with the wrestling stuff, but I've been collecting. I have most of like the Force Awakens series. I bought them all in one shot, but then I had the DC boxes like monthly, and then the pops just got like really crappy, and I didn't really like them anymore after Hawkgirl, so I canceled that. But I collected most of the NHL ones, other than like the Rangers, because I don't like the Rangers. And like when I went to Montreal, I picked up...
It's a separate podcast just about your feelings on the Rangers.
I picked up the Canada exclusives. I picked up the Toronto exclusives, not John Tavares. But I like the NHL ones, the MLB ones. So more than just wrestling, I like collecting all of those guys.
I have Star Wars. I have WWE. I have... what else do I have? I have like a bunch of random TV shows like Firefly and stuff like that. But yeah, I thought this was a very appropriate question for today's episode. I know that not so much Brian, but I know Matt is very much into the pops. He has his own, obviously. So
I have that one too.
I also have that one.
I have the purple variant.
Oh, is that the Chase? Is the purple one?
Yeah.
I didn't even know I had the Chase. I just thought I had the regular one. Cool. But yeah, so let us know what wrestlers you think would be great pops if they're to steal a phrase from the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast. Who's very toyetic that you think would be good as a pop? Let us know your answers on any form of social media at GameMarksPod. And what do you say, John?
We ready to take the dive?
Let's jump right into that deep dive.
Hey guys, Johnny here. While we love talking about video games and wrestling here on the podcast, we wanted to share with you a new offer from our friends at Stitcher. An enormous amount of shows and bonus episodes are available on Stitcher Premium, such as Office Ladies, Comedy Bang Bang, WTF with Mark Aaron, How Did This Get Made, Bitch Sesh, True Crime Garage, Marvel's Wolverine, and plenty more. Right now you could sign up for Stitcher Premium for only $4.99 a month or $34.99 a year using our code GameMarksPodcast. That's all one word. Head on over to Stitcher.com/premium for this amazing deal and a free month. That's Stitcher.com/premium and use code GameMarksPodcast. That's all one word. Game on, Marks.
All right, so WWE All-Stars released March 29th, 2011 for consoles and November 22nd, 2011 for the 3DS. Now, this game came out on so many consoles. It was on the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 3, the PlayStation Portable, the Nintendo Wii, the Xbox 360, and the Nintendo 3DS.
So kind of like we're seeing with Battlegrounds, how it's going to come out everywhere, including the PC.
Yes. This was developed by THQ San Diego for the PS3 and the 360, and Subdued Software for the PS2, the Wii, the 3DS, and the PSP. Published by THQ. And I don't know, first impressions, man, this is like the most nostalgia, modern, for the time, revamp of that arcade, like, beat 'em up for wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
This was like WrestleMania Arcade 3D. Like, it's so awesome.
Yeah, you just can't only side scroll. Like, you could actually go other places in the ring, but it's very close.
This is probably, what do you say, as action figure based of a game as you're gonna get. So much so that, you know, they actually released figures to coincide with this.
Yeah, actually,
a little more on that later.
Actually, I remember when this game came out, seeing what they looked like, I thought the game itself was based on action figures. Because I wasn't a collector then. And I didn't really know like the difference between Jakks and Mattel and all that in 2011. I just didn't care because I was older. But seeing like how the figures did come out, which we will get to later, I think they could have taken more of like the appearance of the character models from the game.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. So what's the game? So this game comes out in 2011. So this is what, the same year as SmackDown vs. Raw 2000.
So this comes out with WWE 12.
And this comes out with WWE 12. So this game, very different than the SmackDown vs. Raw series. So this game actually coincides the release year of WWE 12.
It's kind of in the middle. So this game comes out in March of 2011, and then October was SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, and then WWE 12 came out November, actually the same day as the 3DS, November 22nd, 2011. So I guess they kind of put those out together, like WWE 12 with All-Stars for the 3DS, same day.
Okay, so 2000, so SVR 11 comes out October of 2010.
Yep.
Then this releases March of 2011, and then
big year for the WWE.
Yeah, oh my god, that's
games.
Like that's an insane. Was it 9 months?
Yeah.
Wow, Jesus, a hell of a 9 months for WWE games. Maybe that's why I didn't own this originally. Maybe it was just too saturated. because I was very much aware of the game.
Yeah, I remember seeing the commercials during Raw and SmackDown, and like, oh, this game seems like it's for kids. I don't want to play it. Blah blah blah. It doesn't look real. Like I was all about, especially then. I was all about like WWE SmackDown 2011. I was all about WWE 12. Like that's all I played. Like I ran through those stories like 6 times back then.
Yeah.
Winter break from college. Like you can't see me not on my PlayStation or Xbox.
I mean, that's the time though. Like I had, what did I have? I guess at this time I had my PlayStation 3 in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had my PlayStation 3, and actually, prior to this game coming out, I had my PlayStation 3 in my dorm room, and for like the past 4 years or whatever, and bought the games every year. Wasn't actively watching, but bought the games every year just because I love the game so much. And then graduated college. This game came out a year or two after that, and then I think I was just like, I'll take a break from wrestling games for a little bit, and then immediately got 12 when it came out. So like I feel like I had SmackDown vs. Raw, then this came out and I was like, this is the direction that they're going, and maybe I'll take a break. And then 12 came out and I was like, okay, I'm back in.
I have a story about 12, but I'll save that for when we cover it on an episode about it.
All right. Well, that's coming up, so that's on the list. Let's jump into like the actual gameplay. What do you want to talk about? This is really, there's only one word that comes to mind when you talk about this game, and that's big. Everything about it is big. The wrestlers are big. The moves are big. You get
exaggerated
big air. Yeah, like it's like a caricature of wrestling. It's everything's over the top. It's super exaggerated. It's there's really no other words to use to describe it.
All right, so for me to describe it, it actually felt like... Do you ever play with your action figures when you were little, like with a friend or a cousin, and there was no way to ever have a match with 2 guys holding a figure, and you would just start hitting them into each other, and then eventually you'd just get higher and higher, and all of a sudden you're fighting in the air, and you're like, okay, this isn't working. Yeah. That's what this game is like, because you're just beating each other up, and then all of a sudden you're getting like a power slam, like 50 feet in the air, and you bounce up like 10 feet off the mat. It's ridiculous, but it's fun.
Or you play and you work up from your ring, you work up to like the couch somehow, and then your guys are like fighting on the couch, and then all of a sudden you just realize, you're like, I'm on the couch.
This never worked.
And the ring's down there. Maybe Shawn Michaels might have to give The Undertaker a super kick off of the couch and see if I can make him fall perfectly in the ring. Yeah. That's what this game is.
That's why me and my cousins could never play. But yeah, like we said, the characters are all exaggerated. They're all big. They're like caricatures of themselves. They're like jacked, and I guess they're just big. Like their upper bodies are huge. And when you hit a signature or a finishing
everyone
move,
looks like Jose Canseco.
When you hit a signature or a finishing move, you just shoot right up into the air, and like there's colored like smoke and stuff around you, and you just shoot right back down to the mat, and your character kind of just bounces. It's pretty funny.
Macho Man's elbow is my favorite finisher, just because it's a 2-step operation to hit your finisher. So when your finisher bar is full, you tap the L1, R1 buttons, and that starts the animation. So your guy does like a taunt. Some taunts are longer than others. But as soon as you hit the L1, R1 button, wherever you are in the entire arena, Macho Man backflips and lands perfectly on the top turnbuckle. And then when you hit L1 and R1 again, he dives off to do his elbow drop, and he will fly, no joke, 120 feet to hit the target.
Yep, I felt that one.
I think I jumped from the bottom left turnbuckle to outside of the ring for the top right turnbuckle. So that's across the ring, clearing the turnbuckle, and then the stairs, and then hitting John outside in the other corner.
Yeah, that happened. And I like the Hollywood Hogan leg drop because you weren't even standing. No, I mean, I'm sorry. You weren't even laying down, and I just hit it, and all of a sudden your body was down, and I just jumped up 50 feet and just dropped the leg on you.
Yeah, that was... I mean, hitting these moves... I want to say it's very satisfying. Is that accurate?
Yeah,
when you hit your signature, you hit your finisher. It's such like a reward factor because you have to be so precise about it.
Let's take a step back. The whole premise of this game is current superstars versus the legends. They're kind of pairing them off like who's similar, like John Cena versus Hulk Hogan. Fantasy warfare plays a big role in this game. So what do you say we run through this roster quick? Do you want to take the superstars and I'll take the legends, or?
Yeah, I'll take the superstars. So your superstars, you have The Big Show, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, John Cena, John Morrison, Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Sheamus, Triple H, and The Undertaker.
And your legends, Andre the Giant, Big Boss Man, Bret Hart, Dusty Rhodes, Hulk Hogan, Jake Roberts, Randy Savage, Ricky Steamboat, The Rock, Roddy Piper, Sergeant Slaughter, Steve Austin, and The Ultimate Warrior. Now, there are also unlockables, which you will unlock by playing the Fantasy Warfare mode. I'm just going to run through them. Eddie Guerrero, Mr. Perfect, The Miz, Shawn Michaels, Jack Swagger, Drew McIntyre, Edge, Jimmy Snuka, and Kane. Now, those are all of the wrestlers that come with the game. Now, it might not seem like a lot, but there is a big DLC, which we will get to later. But The Big Show, John Cena, Randy Orton loosely, Triple H, The Undertaker, like they should kind of be on the legend side if it was a game like now, right?
Well, you gotta take into the time, like Big Show still super active, Triple H still super active, Orton, Cena still super active. Like I'm pretty sure in 2011, Cena and Orton are in a feud.
Yeah, and I can't believe. Just think about it. Orton is still like on the top now,
and and it's not like he's on the top and he's starting to fade. Like he's on the top and he still is great. Like it's nuts.
All right, so the game mode. So there is the first one, Path of Champions. So you compete in a 10-man gauntlet against WWE Legends, Superstars, and Tag Teams. And along the way, there's 3 different storylines in a ladder-style tournament. So there's Path of Champions Legends, which is The Undertaker. Then there's Superstars, which is Randy Orton, and Tag Teams, which is DX, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels.
So, in each one of these, you get these little animations. So the Undertaker really only speaks in, I think, you get 4 cutscenes. Yeah, it's 4 cutscenes. It's 1 to introduce it. You have 2 in the middle, and then you have the last one before your actual match at Mania. The Undertaker's features Paul Bearer very heavily. I think Taker only speaks in maybe 2 of them.
Makes sense.
Randy Orton's is you are going against him for the WWE Championship, and he makes a lot of references to his Legend Killer gimmick, which
makes sense.
2011, is that Legend Killer? I thought that was way before.
Yeah, that was like 2002, 2004, like during Evolution.
Yeah, so that, I mean, it was cool. It's a nice throwback to him being the Legend Killer, and then DX is like fourth wall breaking, exactly what you would kind of expect from DX. It's very funny. They make reference to the fact that they're in a video game. Like it's funny. It's awesome. The animations are great. It's my only complaint about these little videos is aside from Taker and Paul Bearer, the voice acting by the superstars, you can tell that they're just bored.
Oh, so
super bored.
They're just like reading.
Yeah, like at one point when they're making DX is making the reference that they're in a game, Shawn Michaels goes, "And now you can play as us currently in this video game, WWE All Stars." And he holds up the package, and like literally the inflection that I just said that with is the inflection that he says it with. Just a dead tone. There's no emotion or excitement behind his voice.
Oh, great. Anyway, there's also Fantasy Warfare, which we touched upon, which the figures is based on. It involves 15 dream matches that put legends against the modern day superstars. And just like you said, each match begins with a video promo kind of introducing the 2 that are competing. And there's like a kind of like a personalized storyline based on their history. Even if they didn't have like actual matches against each other, the game like makes it feel like they did, which is pretty cool. And every time you complete one of these Fantasy Warfare matches, you unlock the next one, and it finally leads to the end. The ultimate match. If you had to pick one Fantasy All-Stars match, who would it be? None other than Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker.
Yeah, it's not. All right, you know what? Let's just read. I'll read through these Legends versus Superstars fantasy matches really quick.
Okay.
You have, your first one is Ultimate Warrior versus Sheamus. You have Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio. You have Ricky Steamboat versus Kofi Kingston. You have Mr. Perfect versus The Miz. Andre the Giant versus The Big Show. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus CM Punk. Bret Hart versus Edge. Jake Roberts versus Randy Orton. God, that sounds amazing. Sergeant Slaughter versus Jack Swagger. Hulk Hogan versus John Cena. Macho Man Randy Savage versus John Morrison. Jimmy Snuka versus Kane. The Rock versus Triple H. Roddy Piper versus Drew McIntyre. And Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. I really think Hogan Cena should have been the last one.
Exactly what I was thinking. Exactly what I was thinking.
And how is The Rock Triple H a fantasy warfare when they have literally had 100 matches together? Like, they've had so many matches together. Like, how is that fantasy warfare? Put on any Raw from like 1998 and that's happening.
Yeah, that some of these are a bit odd.
Jake Roberts versus Randy Orton. I would like Jake in his prime, Randy in his prime. I would
that would
love.
be sick. Imagine the promos in that one. Oh my god.
I was just gonna say the promos for that match alone is enough.
So the only part I get about Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker is the year prior at WrestleMania was their big main event. So that's where I see that one. You know, they're kind of playing with the current main event of WrestleMania with the two. I would maybe put like Jimmy Snuka and Kane. I would maybe put Undertaker and Kane just for the nostalgia of that one. Maybe put Jimmy Snuka and CM Punk, even though Austin Punk is pretty sick.
I say Austin Punk makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. We could fantasy book this all day, but
yeah.
Warrior and Sheamus is a bit odd.
I think Snuka Morrison makes sense because they're both
that
flyers.
Would be cool. Maybe I would say Triple H and Warrior, but that happened at WrestleMania and it was awful. but anyway, those are the 15 matches. And getting through these matches is where 10 of the game's 30-man roster is unlocked. So,
and then in addition to Path of Champions and Fantasy Warfare, there's also just regular exhibition modes. Just, standard match, tornado tag, steel cage, extreme rules, and an elimination match. That's what you would come to expect from a wrestling game, just your standard fare of matches that aren't like the bread and butter of the game.
I think we liked the elimination match the most, right?
Elimination match was fun. I feel like if you could do an Extreme Rules elimination match, that would...
Okay, wait, hang on. Hang on. Don't even give me that, because the elimination match we played came down to us two, and you pinned me outside of the ring, so...
Well, no, I just wanted weapons.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Hey, in the Extreme Rules match that we did, you hit me with like 6 weapons, and I didn't hit you with any.
And I still lost. Take us through this Create a Wrestler mode.
All right, I was just going to say, so aside from the 3 game modes, there's also a Create a Wrestler, which, I mean, it's limited. It's not bad. It's not good. But I've definitely played games with worse Create a Wrestler modes. The weirdest thing for me is that you get to pick your moveset. You pick from either a superstar or a legend, but your finisher can be anyone's finisher. So you can have Rey Mysterio's moveset, but do the WMD punch as your finish.
Interesting. Yeah, that was a little bit of a step back. I think I guess this game isn't really revolved around Create a Wrestler like the other games are.
I was just saying, it's not like a full story mode where your custom character goes through. And then, obviously, this is a game from 2011. There was online play.
Which brings in DLC.
Yes. Now, the DLC for this game is a very interesting story.
A little bit of controversy, I guess you could say.
So, there were a bunch of DLC characters that were confirmed. The first pack that came out was Ted DiBiase and Ted Jr.
Makes sense.
On the PlayStation, there was actually the free first wave of the DLC pack, which was Honky Tonk Man.
Ooh,
which,
that better be a free one. I wouldn't pay for that.
So that same DLC pack was pushed back for the Xbox 360 users. So in order to counteract that, THQ released R-Truth for free, and they also announced the next DLC pack with that release. So sorry you didn't get it at the same time as the PlayStation users, but hey, here's an extra character for free.
Here's R-Truth and the Honky Tonk Man.
Oh, all right. I'll take that.
I guess that's the next fantasy match, right?
I guess so.
Two musical acts.
Yeah.
I could dig it.
I'll get behind that. And then the next pack that came out with R-Truth was the all-time greats pack, including Chris Jericho, the Road Warriors, and Jerry Lawler.
That's a good pack. I like that one.
Is it like a tag match? Is it Jericho and Lawler versus the Road Warriors? Or is it like...
Nah, I don't think so.
This was not like a fantasy warfare. This was just like, here are characters.
Yeah, kind of. But this is like 2011 Jericho, where he's got the short hair and the trunks.
Short hair.
He comes back all jacked.
Codebreaker.
Yeah, Codebreaker Jericho.
And then the final pack, released on August 2nd of 2011, is the Southern Charisma pack, which... Oof. You know what? I want you to do this one. Tell us who's in this pack.
Oh boy, Southern Charisma: Michael Hayes, Doot, and Mark Henry.
That, I mean,
what a combo.
Okay, so I guess the theme of Southern Charisma is like sex appeal, because it's Michael purely sexy Hayes.
Tell us
and
how you
then
feel, George.
Sexual chocolate Mark Henry. Is that the connection there?
I guess. I mean, Southern Charisma, is Mark Henry Southern?
He's from Billsby, Texas.
Oh, okay. I honestly had no idea. So they really released stuff throughout a year, but it seemed like there was a lot of issues. But on August of that year, they announced that they would be releasing this game for Nintendo 3DS. So that's not something you see... I guess I want to say not something you see often, to have these games released on like a DS system, but the 3DS was pretty advanced for its time, and it did have a lot of the same like features, and you could actually play a wrestling game on it, especially an arcadey one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'd like to correct. He's from Silsbee, Texas. He now currently resides in Austin, Texas.
Oh,
There's
okay.
A little update from Mark Henry.
Gotcha. Thanks.
So I was close.
So the 3DS version has 2 new game modes and all of the DLC right off the bat. So the new game modes are Score Scramble and Gauntlet. And in Score Scramble, you fight each other until one person gets 50,000 points or do a timed battle. So that's cool, something different. And in the Gauntlet, you play against the entire roster, excluding created wrestlers. Now, like you were saying before with the moveset, the ability to choose finishers different from the moveset has been removed. So if you choose Triple H's moveset for a created character, the finish would automatically be the pedigree. You can't change that.
Okay.
That makes sense for a 3DS game.
Yeah, I say not having that feature, I feel like kind of would bum me out, knowing that it was an option normally. But it makes sense, like you said, for where the game was being played. It makes total sense.
That's all I do now, like especially in like 2K games. Like I just pick someone's moveset, like a generic moveset, and then I just change the signature and the finisher. Like I don't have time anymore to sit there and pick through every single move and strike. Like I used to do that, but not anymore.
Nope, I do that every time.
You go through every single move?
Every single move.
Oh man, no. I pick like Jeff Hardy's moveset or something, or I just change the signature and the finisher.
Every single move.
Oh,
I am
awful.
Yeah. So it's self-torture, but it's for the love of the game.
Okay.
All right, John, what do you say we jump into this artwork?
Yeah, this is like very, very notable artwork. I think everyone
now,
recognizes this cover and this logo.
This would lead you to believe that the main events of Fantasy Warfare would be John Cena versus Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior versus Randy Orton, but you would be wrong.
And then look in the back. Macho Man versus Rey Mysterio, maybe. Kofi versus The Rock. These are all matches.
But Kofi versus The Rock is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Mysterio and Macho Man is awesome, even though that probably did happen in WCW at some point.
Yeah, but it was probably Unmasked Ray.
And
NWO Macho.
Kind of like Filthy Animals versus NWO or Macho Man 2000, but I'm sure we've seen
LWO versus NWO.
I'm sure someone can. I don't think Ray was ever in the LWO, so
I know.
I'm sure someone could find that for us and show us. But yeah, the exaggerated cover, the All Stars logo, that paint splash in the background, which pretty much shows how the game. I don't know. Like, to me, that describes the game, like those colored splashes, because the game is very colorful.
AEW vibes. Is that just me?
Yeah, kind of like the Dynamite commercials with the exploding like colored smoke.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. That background, like the paint smoke or like a smoke bomb kind of color.
Yeah, it's very cool artwork. I like it a lot. And we're seeing the character models of the games, the character models from the game, not the actual superstars, which is cool because normally we'll get like PNGs layered over each other.
I think that's one of the reasons why I appreciate the cover of this game, because it's got nothing to hide.
Nope.
Like, do you like look at the artwork and the character models of this game, both on the front and the back cover? If you like them, you'll like this game.
Yeah, and the back cover of at least the 360 version has every superstar on it, so you know what you're getting. Now, upon researching these covers, every cover was different for 360, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, the Wii, the 3DS. So to pick apart the back covers, it's very hard, but you'll get the All-Star logo, you'll get some screenshots, and like we said, it paints a beautiful picture of what the game is.
Yeah, they really did a good job of not hiding anything. Like, you know what you're getting when you get it.
Now, I want to say, this THQ logo, I feel like once they switched to this newer THQ logo, it was the end of the end. That was it. Like, that was the downfall of THQ.
Give me the slant, the italicized font in the rectangle with the red line.
Yeah. No, that's what
want.
This was the end of THQ here. At least the next year or two. But
the animation for this THQ logo was a lot better than what they had done previously. I will give them that.
Come on.
They took a cool logo design and sacrificed all of the quality gameplay.
Exactly. Now, what do you say we get into some fast facts for this game?
All right, fast fact time.
WWE All-Stars is the first WWE game to be produced by THQ San Diego. Many of the team's employees had worked at Midway San Diego, the studio that developed the first TNA Impact professional wrestling video game. It is the second WWE game produced by video game designer Sal DeVita, the first being WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game.
WWE All-Stars was nominated for the title of Best Fighting Game at the 2011 Spike Video Game Awards, but lost to Mortal Kombat. The irony.
All-Stars is available on eBay for about $20 to $30 for the PS3 and 360, $12 for the 3DS, and $15 for the PSP, with some factory-sealed games going for about $80.
Now, I owned this on the PlayStation 3, and yeah, I actually got it from my local GameStop, and I think it was about $15-20. So
yeah,
you're spot on with your prices.
Couldn't be much then. But with that, how about we get into the ratings and reviews?
Take us through.
Metacritic, our favorite, gives this game a 75%. GameZone gives it a 7.5 out of 10 and says a fresh branch of WWE video games, THQ has done a fantastic job of cherry-picking the best elements of wrestling with some of the most recognizable characters and stars in a visual, fantastic package. IGN gives the PSP a 7 out of 10 and says wrestling fans will have fun when they pick this one up, but I don't know how long it will last as it's a bit shallow. Total PlayStation, a 70 out of 100. Spazio Games, a 70 out of 100. ZTGD PSP, whatever that is, gives it a 70 out of 100. Xbox Addict gives it an 86%, says this game works to recapture some of that arcade magic, and if any video game would ever dethrone WrestleMania as king of the arcade mountain, this would have stomped a Steve Austin-esque mudhole into that title. I actually take offense to that because there's very little that compares to WrestleFest, so.
All right, so there were 3 figure packs that were released coinciding with the WWE All-Star Game, and those packs were Macho Man vs. John Morrison, CM Punk vs. Steve Austin, and Randy Orton vs. Jake the Snake Roberts. And I think the only real complaint that we had noticed about the figures was that the Macho Man outfit is not the one that's actually depicted in the game.
It's a bit odd. Yeah, it's a bit odd.
Also released, there were 2 controllers. Actually, there were 4 controllers. There were 2 for PlayStation and 2 for the Xbox. One depicts something similar to the cover art, where you just have a couple of wrestlers.
Rock and Triple H and Cena and Hogan, I believe.
Very strange controller mapping buttons. They look like, what did you say? They look like Sega Genesis controllers?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Mixed with a 360-ish controller.
And then there's the Brawl Stick, which is essentially just turns your home console into an arcade cabinet, which
coolest
John
thing they
and I
made.
We actually saw it a couple of months ago when we were at Video Game Trading Post.
That's right. I almost bought it, but I didn't have the game, so kind of wouldn't make any sense.
Together, we make one whole collection. I have the game. You could have bought the
go.
stick. We would have been great.
But with that, Georgie, that's a great lead-in to our interview this week with the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, Matt Cardona, Brian Myers, and Smart Mark Sterling. So what do you say?
Take it away. All right, so very special interview for the Game Marks Podcast. We are joined by the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, Kurt Hawkins, or Brian Myers.
Pump
Matt
the brakes.
Cardona.
We got fired,
God.
boys.
Sorry.
Man,
sorry.
WWE Legal just called me. What are you doing, bro?
It's habit. Sorry. We are joined by Brian Myers. All right.
No, keep this. This is
No,
great.
keep this, Clash.
This is real life. And while we're at it, I can admit this to Mark and Clash here. I thought your partner was Jay George this whole time.
And I'll admit this. I don't know who the fuck this guy is.
My name's George. I've done graphics for the Major Pod before.
Oh,
so,
thanks, man.
Oh yeah.
Thanks, man.
We've paid George
I-
fees.
I do like your
Christmas sweater?
detolf in the background.
Oh, yeah. Clash called me a Mark because it's in the background.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so... like
I know the
was
Game
saying-
Marks podcast. I hear your little jingle in our pod. You guys got a hell of a brother rate for that ad.
Yeah, hell of a brother. I'm wondering
Absolutely.
what you
Appreciate
paid
it.
what'd you
Appreciate
pay
it
the
very
Caught
much.
Looking podcast for your ad in that one?
And this whole time you thought it was Jay George?
I know, right?
Who has been on our podcast, oddly enough.
Oh wow.
All right, so in 2011, WWE released a video game called WWE All-Stars, and along with that, Mattel released some figures that went along with it, and being that you guys are the foremost authority on wrestling action figures, I figured who better to talk to than you guys. So
Yeah, so the first thing that comes to mind when you're talking about this, obviously there's the 2-packs, they were Toys R Us exclusives. I've said this pretty vocally, I've never really been a video game guy. The last time I actively played video games, I had a Sega Genesis, and I remember I loved the Aladdin game, and that was the extent of it. Even when I got into WWE and I was in games, I didn't even play them or try to play as myself. I remember the first time a game came out that I was in, I tried to be Kurt Hawkins, and I couldn't even walk. Video games had just passed me by so far that I was all right, whatever, I'm done with this. But that game, for whatever reason, and I'm assuming it's just the over-the-top graphics and stuff, that was the only time I can recall being kind of jealous that I wasn't in the game because I thought it was so cool.
It was
And I remember,
it reminded me of WrestleFest, arcade style.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I remember that Drew McIntyre made it, and he was kind of close to the same level where I was at the time. You know, not really like an important guy in WWE. And I was like, man, he made it. Damn, lucky for him. And I also, another thing that just sparked to me now while I'm talking about this out loud, I remember hearing through the grapevine, which I can't confirm, that like the payouts to be in that game because the roster wasn't so bloated was pretty impressive.
I remember hearing that as well, and also being devastated not being in the game.
At least like you were like doing stuff at the time. Like
And I wasn't in the game.
you got screwed actually. Now that I'm thinking about it.
But yeah, there's 3 2-packs. It's It's Austin and Punk,
Yep.
Austin and Punk, Jake and Randy,
Jake and
Yeah.
Randy.
and
And
probably
then
the
you've
biggest,
talked.
probably the biggest head scratcher of them all, Morrison and Randy Savage. Which
I say you guys have talked about this before, so
yeah,
So I
So you've
have
never worn that gear, right?
who?
Macho Man?
Oh, he has. Yeah, oh, yeah. Of course, I posted about it, and someone found me the exact photo because it comes with 2 bandanas, and I'm like, "What is this like leopard print bandana?" They found him wearing it. It's the green trunks,
yeah. I remember that now. Actually, you're saying that.
Because that's not what he even wears in the game, which is weird.
right?
Oh, really?
yeah,
That's
it's
Only
it's-
one out of those that doesn't wear what's on his figure.
Yeah,
Really?
everyone else is like an exact counterpart to their action figure, to their video game model, except for Randy. It's
Wow.
weird.
So I do remember that game being fun. Like Brian, video games kind of passed me by. Of course, I played N64, No Mercy, WrestleMania 2000, all those games. But then it just got a little too difficult for me, you know? And then, like Brian
What?
said, like I tried
You were
playing-
using a game genie. Just tell him you were.
But I remember Brian and I actually did the mocap for one of the WWE games while we were in Deep South Wrestling before we were on the main roster. And I got so excited that day or that week, that I would be in the game or, my movements, that I went out and I bought an Xbox, bought all these games.
Oh my god,
And then-
this is true. I forgot about this.
And then I played it for about like a week and then sold it to Kofi.
I forgot. This is all true.
Yeah.
Do you remember which game it was?
So it
was-
was we did it in very, very early 2007. So it had to be like the 07-08 game. The year before we're actually in the game, I would say.
The year after.
Year before.
Oh, yeah. The year before we're in the game. Yeah.
And
Yes.
basically, our boss at the time was Mike Bucci, aka Nova from ECW, aka Simon Dean, and back then they would use developmental talent to do it, kind of I guess to save money because now they hire like independent wrestlers to do it, and I think guys were getting too hurt and stuff, so they realized it wasn't worth the risk. But you would just kind of get like cherry picked, and Mike kind of like liked us, and he was just like, "Oh, I'll take you to LA for a week." And we're like, and to not go to Deep South Wrestling practice for a week and go on like basically a vacation to LA was like unreal, like mind blowing experience for Matt and I. And so he basically just picked who he wanted to hang out with. So he brought us and he brought Stevie Richards. And then I remember like there's like an agenda of what you have to do. You know, you're not just like doing power bombs like nonstop. Like, so some of that stuff is not all that exciting. And for whatever reason, most of the week we did, it was like me and Broski circling and like tying up and like kind of chain wrestling or like walking towards each other and stopping. Like, and then like Bucci and Stevie were just sitting off to the side, like watching YouTube videos. And like, we were the only ones like working the whole time. And then finally, like the last 2 days, we did the cool stuff where we got to do like entrances and things like that.
Do you remember who you did it all?
I remember like I couldn't do, Cena has that weird slide in the ring. I couldn't do it because the ring was like slightly higher and I just couldn't like get in because he like slides and then swings his hips through. and like, no matter how many times I tried it, it was just really, really bad.
I know Broski for sure did RVD. I remember that, like doing the whole like, the point to yourself thing. I did Jeff Hardy, which included the like free bird, like fire up on the ramp and stuff. And I remember like the first time I did it probably wasn't that great. And Nova was like, dude, no one's fucking here. Just mark the fuck out. Who cares? Like, who cares? And he's right. And I just fucking went for it and did the full blown like Jeff Hardy dance on top of the ramp. And then the other thing that's in my mind is Stevie Richards couldn't do Undertaker's walk. Like he's such an awkward human being. He, like when they were telling him to just walk slow and he like couldn't do it. Like he was like still just being all like sporadic and shit. And it was like unbelievable.
Of all the things to get in your own head about a walk is not the thing you would expect it to be.
Yeah.
I will say this, the attention to detail was unbelievable. Like before you were to do something, they'd show you the video. Like they had everything like lined up, ready to go. And especially when every year you take these photos for the video game. They get you from every angle, every expression, your hands, your boots, your palms, like literally every angle. And the first game we were in, we were actually downloadable. I don't know if you remember that.
I do.
We weren't even in it. But the gear that they use for me, I'm not sure about the actual game, but I've just found the photo on my phone. It's of gear I never wore because like we were supposed to be, after we became the Edgeheads, we were supposed to just get new gear right away. So we rushed and got like Edge looking like gear, and we took photos in it. But then we never got to wear it. Like I've never worn this gear. And when they showed that we were in the roster, it's in this, I would say it's made up gear, but I actually do have it. But we never got to wear it.
Never wore.
I bet you ended up wearing
even-
yours eventually, right?
Mine?
You had trunks, and you wore
I'm pretty
it
sure I'm
eventually.
in the trunks like that I wore forever, and like my
Right, so, like,
deluxe aggression figures in.
These
and,
have like almost like the brood. What's it called? That little symbol.
the cross.
Yeah, that weird cross. It was stars. It's Zack Ryder. And kick pads, like stuff I never ever wore. But
Wow,
we took
I
those photos in it once.
barely remember that.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, knowing that you guys collect everything that you're a part of, to hear that you guys, even the games that you're in, you don't collect them, whether or not you play them, always struck me as something that was
No,
like,
I have one of every game that I've been in. For what reason,
about
I do
you,
not
Matt?
know. Because I
So-
don't own consoles or anything.
I was just going through my collection of stuff to sell because I got fired, and I realized that I did have. I did have the majority, if not, I haven't like went through and checked, but I would say I'd have 99% of the games. Just like, I don't have for every system. Whatever. 2K12 I have for Xbox, 2K13 I have it for PlayStation, whatever. So the ones that I don't have, I will have to go back and get. What are those stores called where you go buy old games?
I mean, depending on where you are,
That's
say,
a
What was it
GameStop,
called? What was
right?
it called like back in the day?
it's Electronics
Funkoland?
Boutique, or
Babbage's?
Funkoland.
Funkoland. Remember Funkoland?
Yeah.
Wow.
Was it like a full circle moment when Chris Statlander did your entrance this year's game?
That was funny because you guys all showed me that, and you can. And well, one, I'm very flattered and honored that she got to do it. But once you guys told me it was her, I'm like, oh, this is a female. Like, there's just a
That
certain
little
like,
fuck you do.
there's like a certain saunter where you can just tell like that's not a man didn't do that. That's clearly a woman. It's just too like I don't know, fluid. I guess I don't know. Yeah, dainty.
Whoever did my entrance this year totally fucked it up. They do like a double L, not even L-I.
no. Oh
I'm
man.
like, I do one thing. And you throw up two L's?
I mean, Sanjay Dutt did mocap for years and years and years, and would like stooge stuff off to me. He'd be like, "Oh, I did your entrance, and we had to use like a pipe cleaner as the pipe or whatever, or something, like a plastic like plumbing tube or something." And I'll be like, "Okay, at least I know I'm in or whatever, things like that."
So we're talking about All-Stars here, right?
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so I was
And
going
the
to say,
figures.
so for these figures, you guys obviously collect them and you have them. Like, you have these in your collections, every single one of them?
I only have the Macho Man. I
Because
bought
that
the
falls
two-pack
into your rule.
because it goes into my Macho Man rule. I technically I could have gotten the Jake and Austin, but neither of them I believe were different enough to get, unless I have Jake and I don't even realize I have him in my collection.
Well, the thing that we noticed about these is that there's other Mattel figures and other lines that are very similar, if not
Yeah, 'Cause
exactly
this
the
was
same.
It seems very thrown together just to promote the game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I was surprised to see how high up in price some of these packs could
because they
be.
were
Oh, big
they were
time.
Toys R Us exclusives, and so early on in that Mattel run, like people weren't. I don't know if people just weren't collecting. I don't know because the Mattel WWE prices have risen faster than any wrestling product ever, and I can't. It's almost like unexplainable. It's like if you sit on a Mattel thing for 2 years, it's going to double in price, like at least. At
Actually,
least.
I'm looking at this All-Stars 2-pack. I definitely have this Jake the Snake because he's
I
in the
think
green,
I only have Jake left. Yeah,
because he's in the green tights. There's no other
Jake like that.
the
Because
other
Series 2
is a
Jake is heel Jake.
a heel Jake, and then
Yeah.
later they make the Hall of Fame where he's in the gray tights.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I just realized I don't have that.
At the time these came out, I was collecting
shit.
everything, so I got them all, and I've since purged a little bit.
We opened
But
up a can of
I think
worms.
Jake's the only one that
Oh, man,
remains.
guys, thank you for. Thanks for inviting me on the show because I just realized I need the Hall of Fame class of 2014 Jake.
Really?
Ringsidecollectibles.com. I don't think I have this.
Bro-
In gray?
Broski, I know you, and I know you very well. I'm advising you right now to get up, walk across the hall, and look into your cabinet because I'm sure it's there. And now you're gonna have to
There's no way I could tell if it's in there. There's so many figures jam-packed.
use your phone flashlight or something. I don't know.
Have you seen the other stuff that they put out with the game at all?
No. So what is it?
It's called the Brawl Stick, which is it's like this box. It looks like a joystick pad, like an arcade joystick. It's got Triple H and The Rock on it. And then instead of holding a controller, you could play like holding the joystick and pressing the buttons like you're on an arcade table.
Oh, really?
That's pretty cool.
So how does this work? I'm so like out of video games. Like, how does this work? It's all like over the top style.
You put the TV on channel 3.
No, so these plug in the same way that, it's a lot of the consoles nowadays have like USB ports. So like the same way that you plug in your microphone and stuff, unless you're going through a mixer.
Well, I don't plug in my microphone. My wife does it for me. She just sets all this up because I don't know what the hell's going on.
So the same way that you would plug in like a memory stick into your laptop, it's that same kind of plug.
Okay. So like, do games come out in the stores or do you actually buy them anymore?
Either or, it depends. So like I just came up with the idea that because we have this podcast, I'm going to collect every wrestling video game for PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 4. And then I'll revisit after that. And, you have the option of buying a lot of them digitally, but if you're going to be a collector and you want to have those things
There's
like in the
nothing else,
case,
yeah.
it's, you have the option for most of them.
So as a kid, obviously, I loved wrestling. I loved video games, but there was a few times where I bought a system just to get a wrestling game. Like it was Sega CD had, I think, Rage in the Cage.
Yep.
And it was almost like kind of like Royal Rumble, like those graphics, just with more guys, a cage, and like different guys, like the head shrinkers. I was like, holy shit. So really, I made my
I
parents
have
buy
no
me-
recollection of that.
Yeah, I made my parents buy me Sega CD just so I could play this game.
You were the one. You were the
Yeah, I
one
was gonna
person
say.
that bought the Sega CD.
And then I tried to get my parents to buy me Sega 32X because their Raw is War has Quang in it.
Yep.
You needed Quang, huh?
Well, I know I didn't. My parents wouldn't buy it for Quang. They wouldn't do it. My cousin John had Quang. I was so pissed.
I remember my freshman year of high school, like obviously I was not a video game guy, but I would go over to my friend's house just to watch him play WrestleMania 2000 because I just wanted to see the entrances and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a cool part back.
It was like a big deal for me.
Nowadays, there's the beauty of all this technology. You can actually install emulators for consoles on your cell phone, and you can play like Royal Rumble for Sega on your cell phone.
Are you speaking English right now?
I'm watching your face like there's no way.
I don't know what you just said.
I could tell I lost you as soon as I said emulator.
I mean, all you need to know is that you can play it on your phone now. By the way, Smart Mark
install-
Sterling is here.
I was just going to say, I
Get
got
an
cut off on the
introduction.
intro. I didn't get to introduce Marky.
Oh man,
I've just been laughing, so I figured I had to say something.
there's been
What
a lot of stupid shit said already.
We're talking about video games and wrestling figures. What about the Retro Fest figures that Mattel made that they looked like they were in an arcade console? Those look pretty badass.
Yep.
Those are cool. Yeah.
I think right around the time that you guys started the Major Pod, I was at Chosen One Collectibles in Long Island, and I found one of those figures, and I sent it to Mark, and I was like, how rare is this figure? How important is this figure? And he's just like, if you like it, get it, because everything's just going to go up. So
Right.
Yeah, he's right. Those might be the coolest packaging Mattel's ever done.
Yeah,
It's actually
for sure.
kind of sad the line's dead already after only 5 or 6 figures.
Yeah, I'm
And
trying
then
to
the
get
other
those-
thing with figures and video games is like that the playable characters that came with the retros. I don't know if you guys ever even did that.
Oh yeah, so
No.
like technically, like my retro figure has like a scan. What's it called? A QR code thing.
Yo, my wife just showed me last week. I didn't even know those were still a thing. That's from your shirt in 2012. QR codes still work and
2000, bro. I had that in 2011.
yeah, I thought that was a dead technology. I thought it was
And
a
never
VCR.
took off. It still technically
Yeah.
it never took off.
they're
Yeah,
actually
she showed
making a comeback now.
Really?
Yeah, because
Point your camera at it on your phone now, and it
And your
it
phone
goes.
knows.
That's
yeah,
why
my
it's
wife
like-
showed
Well,
me
that's what it
that.
was supposed to do before.
It's
well,
great.
it
actually.
used to be
nobody
just
was
like a
doing it.
BlackBerry thing or whatever.
Yeah. That's how
whatever it
I
was.
remember it.
Yeah, now it's like every phone on every camera can just scan it. So now that it's more easily accessible, they're starting to make a comeback. So
Ah, okay. I'll bring it back in my tights, maybe. But as Mark was saying, on the retro figures, they would come with a little code, and then you would, for instance, scan Zack Ryder, and then you'd be into this mobile game. But I don't know if it's been updated, but when I got the Zack Ryder figure and I scanned it, I wouldn't get uploaded into the game. So I don't know if they ever put me in. And then when I told Mattel that, they said never talk about that publicly. But I don't work for WWE anymore, so I can say it.
And I despise that whole concept because they kind of half ruined the retros to me because they came with those stands and it took away from like the old schoolness of them and it just pissed me off.
Well, then they just started adding just paper inserts when they got rid of the stands.
Yeah.
And they did. I downloaded the game and inputted every single character, and I've never played it for 1 second. I just have the game on my phone with all the characters that I bought.
So is there a Zack Ryder?
Yeah, it worked.
Oh.
But the thing is, we got, like, Broski got his so early. Like, Ringside would send it before it was in the stores, so it wasn't ready in the game yet.
Oh, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's ready now.
But what screwed me is that, okay, so I tried to scan it in, right?
Yeah.
And then what happened, once you scan it in, you can't scan it in again. So it scanned it as like invalid. So I was screwed. I could never be in unless I like uninstalled everything. So I said, this ain't fucking worth it.
Sorry, man. Hard times.
All right, any other questions? We got a podcast to record.
Yeah, I was just say, John, what else? You got anything else?
We'll let you go here, but the new game's coming out this fall. It's not. They completely skipped 2K21 this year because
Now,
reasons.
I saw, so they skip 2K, and then they give you a game with alligators? That's the big comeback?
It's like with alligators, but to go off what Brian said earlier, he played the Aladdin game. The executive producer of this new game worked on the Aladdin game. So.
There we go. I'm in. I'm back.
I remember the code Genie
It's just going to be
Gafar,
like
Aladdin Abu.
If it's like Undertaker running through the boneyard and like Aladdin style, then I'm in.
It actually might be that.
There we
Just
go.
that.
I'm in. That's all we
I
need.
remember. I just watched it. I watched it this morning. It was like, all right, so the 2K game's not coming out, but here's the new game. And it's like Rock comes out, then Cena, and then Rock throws Cena into an alligator's mouth. I'm like, what is this?
And if you
First
look
thing I
behind them,
noticed is
it's
how
still the old Scratch logo on everything. So I think they've had this in the can for a while, and they're just like, okay, we need something now.
I'm going to need a
my
link to
God.
that. I don't even know. I got to see this. This might get me back into video games, guys.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, boys.
All
All
right,
right.
thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks
guys.
for having us.
Later,
Thanks
brothers.
so much, guys.
See you
Peace
guys.
out.
Mark, good to see you.
You too.
Nice to meet you, man. What's your name again?
I can't believe you're not Jay George. This is bullshit.
Jay George.
It's unbelievable.
What's up, Game Marks Podcast? This is Danny Tancredi, and I'm here with my brother Johnny Tancredi, and together we are the Cult Looking Podcast. Each week we bring to you the latest news and reviews on all things baseball collectibles.
From baseball cards and memorabilia to bobbleheads and stadium giveaways, each episode will discuss the newest products to hit the shelves of your local card store and your favorite ballparks around the country.
Be sure to be following us on Instagram at the Cult Looking Podcast and on Twitter at CultLookingBB.
New episodes drop every Friday, so be sure to tune in wherever great podcasts like this one are available.
The Cult Looking Podcast. Don't get caught looking, start collecting.
All right, so we got not only about the All-Stars figures, the All-Stars game, they went into their motion capture, they went into their video game history. We learned about
They
Zack.
made fun of me.
They made fun of you. We learned about Zack Ryder's tights, which we will post from the old SmackDown vs. Raw series that he never actually wore, which was kind of cool. It was a lot of fun. And we got to see our good old friend Silverballs.
Yeah, I feel like I'm never gonna outlive that botch of the names there. It's just habit, you know? You watch TV, you see them on TV, and that's their names, and like that's how you know them. Like I don't have the same relationship with Brian that you do. Like he did train me to be a wrestler.
Yeah,
so,
he's
like,
Brian. He's always been Brian to me. He's not Kurt.
He's Kurt Hawkins,
Yeah.
the guy on the TV, and like
But that was fun. I would like to do more stuff like that. Like I said, maybe get like Matt Cross on here or someone else in the 2K20 development. But with that, George,
hey, CPA's always available.
he's always available. With that, what do you say we head on over to Clash at the Feast? All right, so this week we did it a little differently. We didn't do it for YouTube. We actually did it at the end of our live stream for whoever was watching our Twitch channel. So you never know what we're going to do. Follow us at twitch.tv/GameMarksPod. So we played a 2 out of 3 in All-Stars. Match number 1. I chose HBK, you chose Edge. That was Extreme Rules, and you won because you wouldn't tell me how to pin. And match number 2.
That's not at all.
Match
the
number
pop-up came on the
2.
screen.
Match number 2, I chose Hollywood Hogan, you chose Stone Cold Steve Austin. And you won again because I finally learned how to pin and you hit me with the stunner and that was it.
Wait, I didn't pin you in the first match. I KO'd you.
That's right, but you still didn't tell me how to pin.
It doesn't matter. I KO'd you.
Okay, great. I believe the second match, I just got my special, I just got my finisher, and you're like, oh, it's L2 to pin, stunner, pin. And I was like, come on. So anyway, this week's winner, George Feast, who's just really good at video games.
Is that the next shirt? I'm just really good at video games, just like...
With like a outline of your face with like the glasses?
Oh, I'm thinking like the Scott Hall shirt where it says, bad times don't last.
Yeah.
Bad guys do. It's just half of the GMP mask. It said, I'm just really good at video games.
I mean, we could make that. We could make that, but I think we also have a demand for the All-Stars logo and the Ultimate Muscle logo on a shirt first.
Yeah,
so.
Let me tell you something. Out of all the artwork and logos that we've made for this podcast, All-Stars and Ultimate Muscle, never going to be my pick. I was like, oh, people are going to want the Mania logo. They're going to want Raw. They're going to want the SmackDown logo.
Yeah, they want what they want.
Ultimate Muscle and All-Stars. All right. Let's see what we can do.
Anyway, that was Clash at the Feast.
And, oh, wait, by the way, one thing. I just want to get real close to the mics. You just look at me. Look at me.
I'm looking.
John?
Mm-hmm.
Play my music.
Haven't had to do that in a while because you haven't thrown to it.
It's your choice. You can either play my music or give me that 8-bit Smooth Criminal.
Oh, God. I'm getting real sick of this damn music. But let's move it on. George, do you happen to know what time it is?
It's 11:51 on Saturday.
That also in China is actually, it's time to rate the games.
The game!
All right, George. WWE All-Stars. Would you play it forever?
Woo!
Or future endeavor?
You're fired!
I'm torn. I know. This is not... I thought this was going to be super easy. Here's my biggest complaint about this game. The reversals are broken.
Oh, horrible.
Horribly broken. The prompt comes up after your window to do it, and there's nothing that tells you that if you spam your button to reverse, that it essentially plays like how the modern games do, where you really get only one shot to do it, but the prompt comes up late. So button mashing doesn't fix it. The prompts don't help you do it, so you kind of just have to accept every move that comes at you, which kind of blows. The graphics are fun, gameplay's fun. I mean, I'm going to play it forever with the caveat of I think Battlegrounds may be the next iteration of this game, and I'm kind of excited about that. This is a game playing with someone is super fun. The fantasy warfare is fun. The path to championship is kind of repetitive. It's pretty much the same thing for each one, just the stories change slightly. But I'm going to play it forever.
Woo!
Okay. Now, yours is very, very long explanation.
As I've been known to do.
I believe that you had the game, so maybe that sways you a little bit. This was the first time I played the game. Last week we started. I ran through it a couple times. I will admit, I bought the game. I now own this game. So I'm gonna play it again. I really liked it. I like that arcade feel. It's like an updated roster. Kind of like our question last week. This is the updated roster to WrestleMania, the arcade game.
So you're not even playing it forever. You're owning it forever.
Yeah, so simply a game I never owned. I never played. I guess that kind of bothered me because I have played every single other wrestling game that WWE has put out since I've been alive. I'm playing it forever.
Wow, that's the first Own It Forever.
Own It Forever.
You liked the game that you actually went out and bought it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where'd you get it from? PlayStation?
Yep, PlayStation 3.
Got that free DLC, baby.
All right, Georgie, why don't you tell us what we're playing next week?
John, you're going to have to get out your Google Translate phone here because next week on the podcast, we are playing Onita Atsushi FMW for the Super Famicom. Oh, boy. This is going to be an experience.
I'm sorry? Like the Onita?
Like
Onita? Who I rode the New
like,
Jersey Transit train with to WrestlePro once?
Onita Atsushi FMW is the game.
Okay.
It is, John, it's everything. It's sumo. It's wrestling. It's cage fighting. It is essentially the Street Fighter of Fire Pro Wrestling, and I can't wait for you to play this game with me.
I'm very intrigued, and yeah. I'm just gonna.
If you're not familiar with this game, I highly recommend that you Google the name of this game, ONITA space ATSUSHI space FMW. Look at the screenshots and prepare yourself because next week it's gonna be fun.
I'm ready. So, yeah. Okay. I'm speechless. I'm speechless here.
It's bound to happen eventually. All right, that's going to do it for us this week on the Game Marks podcast. Please check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store at prowrestlingtees.com/GameMarksPod. It is currently the best way besides listening to support the podcast, and make sure to follow us on all forms of social media at GameMarksPod. Leave us a review and a rating on Apple Podcasts and subscribe wherever you choose to listen to your podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us this week. Thank you very much to the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast. And thank you guys for just being you. And John, thanks for sitting with me every week and playing video games. And I would like you to do the honors. Say goodbye.
Game over. Marks.
I'm just really good at video games.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future Endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.